Yes. Well, and I've got to say that, if you haven't looked at Ed's SSK, you should. The time savings that Ed has built into this, even if you're not using the entire SSK, there's bits and pieces that you were going to want to use in projects that will dramatically speed up your development, and just simply great coding practices to adopt for your own development. And I point my students to what Ed's created as great examples of modules and things to include in what they're doing. I use a lot of Ed's modules in the development that I do. So this is really great stuff, and you shouldn't ignore or recreate the wheel. That's just silliness.
Yeah, leave that up to me.
Yeah.
And I think you've talked about. I think you've talked about that before, that you leave SSK fairly modular, though, right? So you can pull out pieces of it and not have to use.
You can pretty much take out any part that you want. I mean, you simply just go into the load SSK file, which is under the SSK folder. You start commenting out things, and when it stops working, you need that part. But, I mean, most of the parts are standalone. I've tried to make individual components, like the camera component, the other components, all standalone. You can take them out and run them by themselves.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is kind of a side note to what we're going to talk about today, but have you thought about making a version available to Patreon supporters, right? I mean, or let me just ask it a different way. Would there ever be a time or an instance where you would consider doing something like that? If there were enough backing for it, would you?
Yeah, if I got enough requests for it, or enough people who said, hey, I'm using it, or I really want to use it, but I can't quite figure it out, then I might consider it. But the sense that I get is not a lot of usage.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard to quantize that, but.
Well, that's good, though. But so here's a reason I ask, and if you're listening to this show or watching it on YouTube, here's what I'd say: you need to go to RomanGamer.com and you need to let Ed know if you are using his SSK. If you're using his super starter kit for Corona, you need to let him know, because one of the things that even Corona deals with, right? We don't require you to watermark your apps or to do anything that denotes that it's a Corona app, right? So some of the times it's very hard to know what apps are out there that are made with Corona, and unless somebody steps up and says, "Hey, I made this app," or "We got featured," or whatever, right? And so. Yeah, it would be very hard to know, like, oh, well, we don't feel like people are using this feature or using, whatever. And as you sounds like you're in that zone where I think I feel like we've had people in the past who have been interested or who have expressed their usage of SSK, but you don't have numbers on that. So
yeah, I'm not saying that people don't use it. I just can't quantize it. And my sense is that it's not in the hundreds. If it were in the hundreds, even over 100 people were using it, then I would consider continuing to try to make it more publicly accessible.
Yeah. Now, you moved it to GitHub, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, it's on GitHub. It's been on GitHub for several years, actually. It's been on its current home for about 1.5 years on GitHub.
And you don't get any metrics from it there?
Not really. I mean, I don't really pay too much attention to them.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't... Okay, ask me a hard question.
It's all right.
Ask me a question where I should really know that answer.
Yeah, well...
Do it right now. We're going to go look at it.
I have a GitHub account. I use it for various things. I can't say that I'm a ninja at the analytics either. It just seems like it would be a place where you could go and kind of get a sense. So I see there's like 28 people are watching it, 67 have started, and 19 have forked it. So, of course, those don't necessarily mean a whole lot, but they're just numbers, right? I mean, they're something.
Unfortunately, GitHub metrics take a minute to come in, so let's look at the traffic numbers. Yeah. So here's my visitor log. 60 views, 1025. So it looks like around...
Yeah, so 47 unique visitors.
Yeah, which one's the unique? Oh, yeah, so like... basically, it looks like we're doing around 2 to 6 a day.
Yeah. One of those is probably you.
That's one of those is probably me. It's true. I go in there, update it all the time. So, I access it. So.
Well, I think it's fair enough. I mean, so again, if you use it and you haven't expressed it, definitely drop Ed a line and let him know that you do. I think it would be worth knowing and worth if you need to turn it into a Patreon thing and people need to support you to continue it, then hey, all the better.
Now, free stuff, on the other hand, gets a lot of visitors. My free stuff, yes.
Yeah, right. So, and I can see why.
That many, but the problem is on free stuff is I point people directly to the download links.
Right.
So it's always the thing. How do you organize your content so people can find it?
Right. Exactly. The curse of information. So, is there do the free stuff packages? Do they have like I know you have links to your website and stuff like that as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do I link back to my website?
Yeah. Do you mention SSK anywhere? I mean, I know you use SSK in all the files.
I mention SSK when I use it in these. But the free stuff archive is sort of like just a crazy grab bag of things. It's like mostly my answers on the forums, but sometimes it's a little bit of stuff here and there that for the show. Then there's a Corona Geek GitHub. Anyways.
Yeah. Most of the time I just go in and I download the whole free stuff thing. I just get the whole zip, right?
That's what I tell people to anymore. Just go get the whole thing.
It's not that. I mean, it's
a big
decent
download,
size.
but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a decent size, but it's better than trying to pick through.
A zillion, yeah, I know. I won't go there. I already said it.
Okay.
I love GitHub, but sometimes it's not so good for maintaining big and sprawling projects where you want people to have access to individual components.
Yeah.
So, but on today, unless anybody else has anything else to say about announcements.
Oh, I just want to say one last thing, and that's that we're not going to have a Corona Geek After Dark this week. So that usually on every Tuesday night we're having them, and we're just going to take a little bit of a break. We'll come back next week. So if you're looking for that tomorrow night, you don't have to. You can go do something else.
You're allowed to go do something else.
You are allowed to go outside and be social.
No, that's not allowed.
Taking it too far, huh? Is that the line? We crossed the line.
We crossed the line on being social is unacceptable.
Hey, I went and looked at this guy's art packs and stuff like that, and it's a ton of stuff. I mean, and I was digging through it, and I was showing Max, my son, I was showing him like, hey, here are all the individual frames for making these characters do things, and he's even got 3D models and stuff up there, and I was like, here's a model of a goat, and the exploded, we call it the texture.
And everybody needs an animated meat model right here.
Why not? I mean, so.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The thing is, this has been around forever. This is way back. I think he started this way back in the 90s. So, I mean, early. He did it with, I can't even remember the name of it. Some old, clunky 3D model tool that it's not even around anymore.
Yeah.
And he used it to generate all these isometric sequences, and it was pretty cool back then. But now, as much as I love his collection, I kind of wish he had generated everything at like twice the resolution.
Mm-hmm. Right? Well, I'm sure I'm sure if you were to do everything today, somebody in the future would say the same thing about your collection.
No, I know. That's exactly the thought I had. Yeah, do it twice, but in a couple of years they'll say, well, why not twice again?
Yeah. Why? How come it's not in holodeck format?
How come it's not in holodeck format? Oh, for goodness sake. All right, so I'm doing an experiment today. I'm having a little problem with my desktop, so if things go wrong during the show, I will recover, but it may take me a moment. I've been having a problem crashing while I've been doing this, so bear with me if that happens. But if you can see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so last week where we were basically was we were exploring the Reiner models, which we were just talking about. And we were also talking about the Lost Garden collection for doing the backgrounds, which I'll show you in a minute. And last week we had green zombies and we had red zombies. So far I have added another set of, not zombies, but skeletons, archers. So skeleton archers, which don't do anything but walk at you at this point. And you can see them on the screen right now. They're not animated. I've got the simulator paused. And if I unpause it, and then I run, or I die. I could just do that instead. So